things we want to do on the Glass House is to highlight other podcasts here at Lifeway. And so there's a really great one called the Youth Ministry Booster Podcast. And talk about it a little bit.
Well, Lindley, it is more blessed to give than receive.
Well, thanks, Ben.
Are you aware of that? Do you know that that's a passage in the New Testament where Jesus is quoted, but we have no evidence that Jesus ever said that in the Gospels?
No, I didn't know that. That's
Now
not
you do.
where I thought this was going.
Now you do.
Okay.
But we do want to we would want to give away some time to people we believe in, and we love Zach Workin and Chad Higgins. These are two of my favorite people. They're just funny, but they're also super smart about student ministry. And you might be in a church setting where student ministry is just hard. You're still trying to figure it out. I feel like this was one of the weakest parts of our game when we were in pastoral
I
ministry.
thought you were going to say this is a weak episode.
No, I just feel like student ministry was something I was always trying to figure out, like, how do we have a great student ministry? And it's really tough.
It is tough.
To figure it out. But I trust these two guys, Zach and Chad. And in this episode, they talk about criticism in ministry from snarky haters into motivators. Man, I want to watch the video on this. I want to see their face as they talk about this.
Well, you're in luck.
Because it is on video.
That's right.
So enjoy this episode. We hope it is helpful to you. And if you love it, check out their podcast, Youth Ministry Booster. Here we go.
Hey, and we're back with another episode of the Youth Ministry Booster Podcast. My name is Zach Workin, hanging out in the garage with my best friend, Chad Higgins.
There was a lot of emphasis in that one.
Oh.
So here's the
A little
thing.
too much?
We
no.
start these and
Oh, no.
you fire away.
Just coming in
sometimes.
hot? Just too
You know,
hot?
well,
Too
it's
hot
just-
for the people?
There's a lot of peaks right there. Hey,
We're getting a level on it. Booster. Sorry, everybody.
my name is Chad Higgins. Zach, you know,
Yeah.
I was a little bit critical of your intro right there.
You're a little harsh.
and I apologize.
A little unnecessarily harsh.
I am very thankful that
Oh.
you start us out
Every
each
time.
of these.
Faithfully.
And you're also controlling our sound and video and all that.
No, just making it happen on the fly.
You're-
This is
you're
actually to
doing
help
it.
me.
I
It helps me.
understand.
It
I
helps me.
understand.
Yeah.
You know, but we're not always critical to each other.
Oh, that's right.
Sometimes we're maybe too critical of ourselves to ourselves.
Oh, definitely self-critical.
But there is a group that I know of,
Of critical people?
critical people,
In
and they don't even
inside
know.
the church or outside the church?
Inside both.
Inside the church.
Inside,
Oh,
outside.
Oh, wow.
Anywhere
Trolls?
they live. Trolls.
Sadducees?
Trolls and Sadducees is a word. And it's we
It's a
know
group of
them.
people that are dissenting.
We know them. We love them.
Do our listeners know who these people are?
Oh, they've
Do we-
met 'em.
They've met them?
They've met 'em.
Oh, what have they met inside?
It's the middle school girl. They're ruthless, my guy.
There's no one meaner than a middle school
Why do you
girl.
say there's no one meaner?
So something about a middle school girl, because you know that like she's been subjected to like lots of online. I mean, it's a painful age that we live in.
Yeah, she's just living in Instagram.
She's living in Instagram, which is a dark vortex of criticism. But the thing that like I worry for them about, like sometimes bubbles up in the way in which it gets us, because they'll say sometimes the meanest thing with a smile and a skip.
because they don't even know it's me.
They don't even know it's mean. That's the thing. They don't even know it's mean, which makes them the meanest. Because I remember you called last summer. There was a moment that you were crestfallen.
Well,
at a camp.
Crushed is a word. It took me to a place,
A dark place. You were rethinking fashion, fit, function.
Every summer, you and I do it a little bit. We accept maybe like one or two or
Couple
so
camps with the kids.
Camps to go.
I
speak
choose
at.
the camps that I get to go to based on, is there things for my kids to do there? Because it's super fun to be camp pastor dad
Yeah.
and like swim and play laser tag and stuff. Yeah.
So I was speaking at a camp, and I have a shirt in my wardrobe that is like it's like a tannish shirt.
Yeah.
And it's got little kind of speckles of like.
Can we say who makes the shirt? 'Cause
It's a
you're
Carhartt
big
shirt.
fan. Chad Higgins, big fan of Carhartt
like-
shirts. He
They
celebrates.
don't shrink. They're great.
got the whole range of colors.
I bought all the colors.
I bought them all. The whole catalog.
did. And so,
Got that robin egg blue. Got
yeah.
that springtime green.
yeah, so the Robin Egg Blue is a great because they also make a tan version of that. It's
Okay.
got little speckles.
What's it called?
I don't know.
Okay, well, because
Dirt on-
it's got a new name based on this story.
Dirt on dirt.
Yeah, oh, Dirt Ready. Oh, Dirt Road. Yeah, you go.
So I'm wearing this shirt middle of the day. It's hot. We're in Florida,
Yeah.
and I'm hanging out.
Well, tan shirt in Florida is your first mistake.
I'm just, trying not to be a Florida man.
Right.
And so I'm hanging out with students, and I remember we're at the lunchroom cafeteria, and I like
That's where
to
the mean girls spawn.
right. So one of the things I always like to do as a communicator is I always try to eat with the
Yeah.
students, and I'll just jump at a table and chat with them and hang out.
Hey, what's up? WWE. What's new in the world of chess? Yeah. Just
Yes.
yeah.
So
All the questions they're asking.
I sat down at a table of middle school girls, and we'd start talking.
Yeah.
And this one girl,
Maybe even dishing. Were you guys dishing a little bit?
I have no idea what that
spilling
means.
tea. They'll know.
Spilling tea.
Spilling tea. They know.
So I'm hanging out. One of these middle school girls looks at my brown on brown shirt, and she
Tinged with sweat.
in the kindest way possible.
Was her
was
name?
sh-
Was her name like Michelin?
I don't know. After her comment,
Jessie Lynn.
I refused to learn her name. And so, in the kindest way possible, she tells me, she goes, "You look like a tortilla."
Just ripped.
As a 40-year-old man, you don't know how to respond to that. And so I said, "Thanks."
That's not dope, yo. A tortilla. Oh man. Well,
I look like a
Like
tortilla.
a tortilla. You did.
I went back to my
oh.
cabin and I changed.
Changed and cried. Wiped my tears in my tortilla T-shirt. Just soft them up. Rolled them neatly in my suitcase. Oh my gosh. You rolling the tortilla shirt into your suitcase and being like, oh crap, it's a burrito shirt now. That's everything.
It was a rough day.
You're rolling the red one inside of the brown
was
one, and
a
you're like,
rough
oh, it's a burrito.
I mean, she wasn't wrong. That's what was the problem. I went back. I was like, "It does look like a tortilla."
Yeah, but she didn't know that you shed tears from that comment. But it's okay. I mean, they do that sometimes where they're making observations that are critical, but because they say them with a smile, like you don't know what to do, like because you don't know, and you're afraid for the follow up because if that was the general observation, having them say more may eviscerate you.
No, you don't want to lean into that.
Yeah. What other comments do you want me to?
What else do you think of me?
Assess me further. But that's, I had a middle school girl tell me I looked pregnant once.
Oh.
I didn't know where to put that. I don't think she was even being mean about it. I think she was just like, your belly looks round. And I was like, wow, I'm going to cry. Because that's the nature of teenagers teach us. And again, for all the work that we hope to do in youth ministry.
Don't make this philosophical. No, they're just mean and rude.
They're just really mean. They're just really mean individuals. But we wanted to talk about that today because sometimes you may be at camp this summer, really proud of the shirt that you bought, and so this is our conversation though on criticism because I do think that's one of the things that nobody has taken the time to talk about in youth ministry enough is receiving it. One, asking for it. Two, receiving it when we've asked for it or haven't asked for it. And three, knowing what to do with it. Like that is something that I get. We laugh the tortilla thing. I immediately went on a diet after the pregnant comment. But how much does it get to weigh? How much do we allow it to use a hymn language? How long does it tarry? How long does it carry out? Because some of it is baseless, some of it's based, and some of it, because it's based, like we want to do something with it. And so whether or not it's something that we said or taught or did or how we look or how we planned or organized an event, I'll never forget in one of my first church assignments, I was really excited about this like pre-camp sign-up night. We had like food and stuff, and we had like some live music of the band that would be at camp, and people signed up. But I don't know if I didn't communicate it well enough, but one of the deacons that like helped and like lent us his trailer for the band to play on, like I guess for him, because there was no like altar call for this pre-camp sign up, literally in the smallest comment was like, what was the point of tonight even? And as a 23-year-old, I felt pretty devastated because I was like, man, we're getting people signed up for camp. But for him to like not have known, and again, looking back, I should have just told him right then what it was about. But it'll tear you up.
Sure.
And it'll carry for a long time. I mean, even today, I still think about how at the end of this big night that was so exciting with big plans, I left devastated. So
Yeah. So for us, what are, Zach, looking back at time of ministry and then even like where you are now, what are things that we can do before the critique that can put us in, I don't know, you call it like an emotional healthy state?
yeah.
That when those things come, it doesn't like wreck us. Because I think for some of us, we all handle criticism differently.
Yeah.
And some of the people that think they handle criticism well, I've noticed don't.
But because
They're just willing to fight. And that's also not a good posture to be.
they're willing to fight, or that's their defense mechanism. And I think that's one of the things I would encourage you is know what your defense posture is.
Okay, talk more about that.
Some people, like, it's floodgates open. Anybody that wants to make a comment, take a comment, let it all flood in, and then they sort it out later. I don't know if that's wrong or not. I'm a little bit that way. I'm a little bit spongy that I let all the comments roll in, and then I try to wring out the ones that make sense of like, this was good, this was bad. And so maybe for some of those comments, not letting them stick too close until you have time to process later. I think for some folks, defensive posture is walls are all the way up, so things just bounce off. Like people were trying to help, and like you just never hear any of it because you don't want to hear any of it. And it's like, well, like some of that actually might have been helpful, but you just weren't ready to receive it. So I think knowing those two postures, some folks, because they're so concerned, will start fawning for the like, tell me I did good, right? We did good. The things are good. Like I that was great. Tell me more. Knowing that could be your posture means that you're seeking out feedback, but you're only wanting the positive means that if you're not ready for both, maybe you're not ready for just the glossy take because that gives you a little bit misinformation. But the thing that I would want to encourage you the most is having the right season to receive it. We have some dear friends. We talked about this in some of our preaching stuff. You don't need to hear the feedback immediately. And so letting folks know, like, I think sometimes having a form for an event or having an appointment calendar of like, man, if parents are frustrated, having them like try to like you entertaining their frustration Wednesday at 8:15 as kids are leaving, not the best time. If you can sense their frustration, schedule it. I think sometimes scheduling the feedback either through forms, through meetings, or through like a later date is really helpful because you can like ready yourself so your immediate postures don't kick in of either like letting too much or letting in nothing at all. So I think having that. But I think one of the biggest things that we wanted to talk about today is having the circle of trust that you actually do allow to speak both wisdom and critique. Yeah. The middle school girl is going to make the comment, and yeah, maybe you don't buy that color t-shirt again for the camp t-shirt. But that isn't the circle of trust that you're turning to week in and week out for validating the who you are and what we are about. Yeah. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I think I want to go ahead and set up that like the circle of trust really matters.
Yeah. For me, the beforehand, most of the time for myself and for others, and this was such a big growing moment for me, and it's something that I still continue to always remind myself and work on, is that I am not my work.
Yep.
And I think in the area of ministry, we tie ourself to our work so closely.
Yep.
So then when somebody comes up and makes a comment, like, yes, I agree, we want to schedule them, but you can't always control
Sure.
when somebody walks up to you.
When they turn the hydrant on.
Yeah, dude. Because it for them, it's just in the moment. And I think a lot of times for this guy that you were talking about, he was evaluating the event,
Yeah.
but when we wear it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that event is us
Yeah.
and our leadership.
My plan, my dream,
Right.
my work.
Then when the evaluation for the event or the program comes, it feels like a personal attack.
Yeah.
Instead of just an evaluation of the event. When we can start to realize your Wednesday night program is not you,
Yeah.
the thing that I think it helps to do more than help the hurtful comments from others, it actually allows us to begin to evaluate it for ourselves. Then we can stop feeling like we're a failure because our Wednesday night isn't great.
Because we were so personally invested that we couldn't hear any of
Yes,
it. Yeah.
you stop taking good advice and bad advice when it becomes about you.
Yeah.
Instead of realizing the thing that we evaluate with us is, are we putting in the effort? Are we spiritually, you know what I mean? Like taking the time to prepare ourselves, and all of these kind of things become about us. We evaluate those correctly about us, but then we can start to have hard conversations, even with our own self, of saying, you know what? Our Wednesday night worship is not good.
Yeah.
It isn't.
God bless them for trying.
Right.
But
it's not good.
It's not as good as it should be. And it makes me think that we shouldn't do it every week.
Right. And then
That's heavy. That's heavy to say.
And then we stop putting our head in the sand because now it's an attack on us. Or let's get to the nitty gritty. Our sermon on Wednesday night is not landing. That starts to feel more personal until you realize, no.
Did you just say I wasn't a good preacher?
Right.
I work really hard at this.
Okay.
I'm supposed to be doing this. You just said, no, this is like the thing
It's
that I
not
do.
good.
God called
Right.
me to do this.
Absolutely. And he called you to get better at it too. And I think when we're able to start to have those honest conversations with ourselves, that we realize, no, these are areas that we can grow in.
Yeah.
And we're not going to grow in them until we're able to be honest about them. And I think for us to do that, we've got to be able to say, no, these are areas that we grow in. We're not perfect at them. The things that you're the best at right now can get better. You know that? And it's not going to.
I don't know, man. You heard me, T. It's
I know,
pretty
you're great,
good.
you're
It's
great.
pretty good.
And us being around each other, right?
Yeah.
You could probably look at my teaching and point out 5 things I could get better at.
I would never do that to you, though. I mean, who would be that mean to their friend?
But can I tell you?
Yeah.
And to be honest, so we're gonna do a little bit of this right now.
Yeah, okay.
Zach, I think one of the things that's helped us the most
Yeah.
is our ability to trust each other,
Yeah.
to say really hard things and get better. And here's the deal. If all the stuff that we're doing right now is the same
Yeah.
in 8 years from now,
Yeah.
you and I failed each other, my guy.
Yeah.
And so we have to have people around us that we trust, that care about us, that can speak into our life positive and the hard things.
Well, and the way you pitched that of not wanting to fail your friends is so much more important than just, well, I didn't want to have a hard conversation. I think for a lot of us, though, and I would name this to our friends that are watching or listening, is who are those people that I can trust? And that is, I think, a piece of the equation that a lot of us don't always know exactly where to start because we are so afraid to ask. And I think that's where some of those mechanisms of defense come in. But I would tell you it's probably somebody else that likes to do what you do and is afraid to ask too. I mean, our friendship goes back to we were both peer youth ministry folks at similar churches in different towns that were kind of doing the same thing. Like this grew out of a shared calling in a different location. And that's one of the things that I would really urge you, like the kind of critique, insight, wisdom, and hopeful growth that you're looking for is probably not going to come from the folks that you see all the time. It's you know what? It's really hard to be honest with people that you're serving with all the time. Not people that you know and spend time with all the time, but for your volunteers or your fellow staff members to really be that person is hard. But to have someone who is the invested friend or the small circle of 2 or 3 that get it and understand you could be really, really significant.
All right, so let's talk about building people around us that can weigh opinion into our life.
Yeah.
What's some encouragement that you would give to somebody right now that's listening?
Yeah.
That's going, man, I don't know that I have that.
Yeah.
How can they start to build that amongst like maybe even their volunteers,
Yeah.
other staff member, or a close friend like you and I have?
Yeah.
Like, what would be some encouragement advice?
So flip it the other way. Don't
Okay.
ask who you'd receive critique from. Who do you turn to for wisdom? Who do you want to be like, or who do you want to like, man, I wish I had the skills that he had. I wish that I could communicate as well as they do. People that we want to get wisdom from are often far more receptive are we to receive critique from. I mean, the old line is like, don't receive critique from anybody that you wouldn't ask or seek wisdom of. Like folks that have like comments, they get to have comments, but true critique that challenges, forms, and conforms us needs to come from people that we think are wise enough to help guide us and shape us through. Like the offhanded whatever, yeah, let that splash across the pond. But who, if the comment is teaching, who's somebody like, man, like the way they do it, I don't know if I could be them, but I love the way that they do that. I love how he leads. I want to spend time learning how he leads. I don't know how they do it, but they balance time between ministry and their family better than anybody else. Will you please just teach me?
Yeah.
And then from those relationships of admiration, I think we can begin to foster some of them. That was our friendship. Like, I love the way you led. I love the way that you taught. I was like, I want to tell them, again, we're very different people, but I valued what you did enough that I asked for help in the ways eventually. And it wasn't the first conversation, but that's where it got to.
I one of the pivotal things, I don't even know if we've ever even talked about this on podcast. One of the pivotal
8 years and we haven't covered it?
Well,
I
one of
like
the-
that.
and we probably have, but one of the most impactful conversations you and I've had internally for a friendship is really talking through, like, we've gotten to the place where we can upset each other and we're not going to leave.
Yeah.
Almost like this, like, quasi marriage relationship.
He makes me mad, but I'm staying around. Yeah. We got a mortgage and kids.
Oh, no, it's not true. No, but the
What if we bought a boat together? That would be the thing. That's the one
Nay,
thing missing.
now we're
That's the one
talking.
thing missing is a shared boat. Yeah, we buy a boat together. That's the yeah.
I want a dune buggy.
Yeah, dune buggy together. Yeah, we got a side by side.
No, but the ability to have a friend that we're able to say the hard things.
Yeah.
But we know that, like, I'm not giving up on you. Like,
Yeah.
you stink at this.
Right.
We got to get better.
Right.
Um,
Or hey, or even just like that wasn't your best.
Right.
Not even like you should give this up, but like that wasn't your best.
that's the
nobody ever says that to people anymore.
but that's the thing for you and I. If somebody else were to say that to me,
yeah.
it would feel so much different.
Okay.
Than if you did.
Yeah.
Because for you, like, when you say those kind of things to me, I always feel like you're trying to make me better and not tear me down.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big differences. When we don't have the people that we trust, we don't know the motive. So one of the things that I think has helped me from the random criticism that I get from other people is I'm always reminded of the, like, therapy phrase, like, hurt people hurt,
Yeah.
right? Like, if people have pain, they're going to hurt other
Yeah.
people.
It leaks out.
And so anytime somebody ever comes and says something to me that immediately hurts, I've started to actually train myself of going, I wonder what has hurt them in that area that has caused them to say that to me. So when the mom comes up and she makes the phrase, my kid doesn't like coming on Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then
It's because she don't like coming on Wednesday night. It's a long drive from the other side of town. Yeah.
well, but you immediately start to think through if you're a mom
Yeah.
and you're going to say this, and let's be honest, sometimes we've got to know our people well enough to
Yeah.
just go, Susan's got a critical spirit.
She's
That's
got a
just
critical spirit,
who she
or she's got a tough kid. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But for her, that hurt may be, I got a really tough kid that doesn't want to come.
Yeah.
I want them to come. I don't know what to do as a parent.
Yeah. I was
So,
hoping you did.
I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Then we can diffuse the situation, turn to that mom and go, hey, I want your kid to be here.
Yeah.
Probably not as much as you do because you're a mom.
Yeah.
And to vocalize that, give her validation. I know you care about your kid. I do too.
Yeah.
How do we work together to try to solve this?
Yeah.
It's not the immediate think tank of going, oh, we got to play more games. We got to do this. And we got no. Meet the mom where she's at in that moment. Try to figure out the felt need of where this criticism is coming.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do that when it just becomes personal.
Yeah.
And it's about you trying to lead a ministry that does different things to reach different kids, and we can start to talk through with mom or whoever. Now, hear me. Sometimes you're not going to have the answer, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, you're not Superman or Superwoman.
Yeah.
You're not perfect in all of this, but you're trying to lead to the best of your ability. And at the end of the day, if you can sit down and say, I am giving it my all and I'm willing to continue to grow, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes in low moments of trial, if we're not emotionally healthy in those areas, then we get wrecked every time we walk through difficulty.
Yeah.
Instead of going, no, difficulty is going to come.
Yeah.
If your ministry is always 100%,
Right. Right.
one, you're delusional.
Right.
But two,
You should clearly find some new friends.
the minute it gets hard,
Yeah.
which is normally about 2 years,
Yeah.
you're going to leave.
Yeah.
And I think that's why there's always that, and I think it's getting better, but there's
Short
always
timer thing.
that short time thing
Yeah.
in student ministry.
Well, and that's one of those, the phrase that you used of emotionally healthy, that I would share back comes from fostering relationships outside the ministry. I think we talked about it, you should have people in the church that you like. You should find ways to get along with your senior pastor. You should find ways to, love and pour into your volunteers. I would offer that emotional health for ministry folks is often determined by their external to the church relationships. Like it's your friends, not like the people that you serve with that you also hang out with sometimes. Like it is your spouse, your kids, your friends, like those folks that like don't see you as someone with a minister or pastor hat on, but as like Zach. It's the people that you like drink coffee with or go fishing with or go to the gym with or like just spend time with. Then you may have some folks from like a life group or small group that we're all on the same page. We're all raising kids or we all love being at this church together. But that emotional health, like if you tie it too much to those church internal relationships, you are riding up and down the waves of how well church is going with how well you're doing. Like one of the questions I've been training myself to ask more and more as we meet with youth ministry friends is tell me about your friends or hobbies or interests outside of church stuff. Like if your whole life is the church office and the church calendar and then maybe a little bit of home calendar sprinkled in, I'm nervous, again, not judgmental, but nervous for the ways in which you're going to weather storms. Like if you don't have a thing or an activity or a pursuit or an enjoyment, like joy outside of the work of the church, you are going to be at the mercy of the highs and the lows. And those are going to come. Chad said it right. Like, it's just a matter of time before the things that were good become difficult. The things that were difficult hopefully get better before we decide to do other things. And so having the right kind of people, the right kind of support systems beyond just what we happen to hear in the hallways or the emails that we get or the anonymous notes that were left in our church mailbox. Because we want a friend, like, especially in maybe what is the high or the low of this season, I want you to hear that you are loved well beyond just the work that you do, and to never conflate that calling and that work.
I'll kind of leave us with this, and to me, this is the most important part, is if the internal voice for you is not the Lord, and you're not taking significant time to meet with him, to listen to him, to abide in him, then the critique voices, good and bad, right? The praise that you get, you will begin to move in that way. The critiques that you get externally, you'll begin to move away from that or answer that depending on who you are. And those will begin to be the things that shape your ministry and what you do. If your plan is to continue to try to lead students in a ministry by your own efforts and your own abilities, then you will be swayed by the voice of man. We have to become ministers that know his voice and listen to him deeply and intimately. If your time in the Word has not gained significantly as you've answered the call to ministry, then you're trying to lead people by the amount of voice that you've just been trying to lead your own life. You need to be listening to the Lord, not only for yourself, but for your ministry, that you're listening to his voice. You're diving into the Word more than just, what am I going to talk about on a Wednesday night? But like learning to pray not only for your life, but your ministry, to be led by him, to chase after him. We will often tell volunteers that you can't take students where you're not going yourself. Youth minister, that is true for you. You can't lead a ministry where you're not going yourself. So all the other voices around you, they're important. Listen to them, become humble, but know the primary voice that you're listening to.
The Glass House is executive produced by Angie Elkins, edited and engineered by Donnie Gordon with help from Nathan Howard. Show notes and production help from Nikki Ogden. Photography by Emily Bergeron and Bailey Watley. Recorded at the Lifeway Podcast Studio in Brentwood, Tennessee.